Look, therapy is brilliant, but have you ever tried watching a beautifully animated 15-year-old Japanese cartoon about people just quietly brewing tea and accepting their feelings? No? Well, it's significantly cheaper and, it hits a very specific spot. If you're carrying around that heavy, invisible backpack of modern adult exhaustion, you don't need a high-stakes psychological thriller right now. You need a mental balm. So today, I'm giving you 10 hidden anime that will actually heal your soul. These are the absolute best under-the-radar shows for curing a bad week. Make yourself a brew, get comfortable, and let's fix that burnout. Number 10. Sketchbook. Full colours. Right, so this one's from 2007, and I need to set expectations immediately. Nothing happens in this anime. I mean that almost literally. The main character, Sora, is this absurdly quiet high school girl who just walks around her town with a sketchbook drawing cats and clouds and, like, a particularly interesting leaf she found. And I can already hear some of you going, mate, that sounds boring. Yeah, that's sort of the point. See, I put this on during a week where my brain felt like it had 40 browser tabs open and every single one was playing a different song. And Sketchbook just closed them, one by one. There are these long, unbroken shots of the sky. You hear cicadas, wind, and then just nothing. Comfortable nothing. Sora doesn't talk much, and when she does, it's usually something wonderfully odd about the way a shadow moves. What got me was this one moment. She's just sitting by a river, watching a cat do absolutely nothing, and the camera holds on that for what feels like a full minute. No music, no dialogue, and I caught myself breathing slower. Like, my actual breathing changed. That's when I realised this show isn't entertainment in the traditional sense. It's closer to medication. It rewires how you pay attention to things. By the end, I was noticing stuff on my own walks I've been ignoring for years. It's not for everyone, I'll be upfront about that. But if your brain needs permission to just stop for a bit, this is it. Number 9. Konohana Kitan. Okay, so on the surface, this looks like, and I'm going to be blunt, cute fox girls running a hot spring. And if I just read that description cold, I probably would have scrolled right past it. I almost did, actually. But someone in a forum I trust said, just give it 3 episodes. And, yeah, I'm glad I listened. The hot spring inn in this show sits right on the border between the living world and the spirit realm. So the guests aren't just regular tourists. You get wandering ghosts, forgotten gods, people carrying things they've never told anyone. And every episode, Yuzu, this clumsy, sweet fox girl who works there, just meets them where they are. No judgment, no fix-it speeches. She just listens and cares. There's one episode involving a guest. I won't say who or what happens, but by the end of it, I had to just sit there for a minute. It deals with regret in a way that's so gentle, it sneaks past all your defenses. You don't even realize it's breaking you open until it already has. The trick this show pulls is using Japanese folklore and Shinto spirituality as a kind of emotional Trojan horse. You think you're watching something light and fluffy, and then suddenly it's 3 AM and you're reconsidering choices you made 5 years ago. In a good way though. In a way that feels like putting something heavy down you didn't know you were carrying. Number 8. Rokuhoudou Yotsuiro Biyori. This one's about 4 blokes running a Japanese tea house. That's it. That's the show. And it's brilliant. So what happens is, customers come in, right? And they've all got something going on. Job stress, family falling apart, loneliness. And the 4 lads who run the place, they don't give big inspirational monologues or anything like that. They just make food. Really, really good food. Perfectly brewed matcha. These seasonal dishes that look so gorgeous, the animation team must have been in love with every frame. And through that care, through that attention to detail in what they serve, people just soften. They open up. They leave a little lighter. What I loved about this, and this is where it hit me personally, is that it captures something I've experienced in real life, but never seen depicted in anime before. That thing where you walk into a cafe or a pub, and the person behind the counter just gets it. They don't know your story, they don't ask, but they hand you exactly what you need and give you a nod. And suddenly, the world's a fraction more tolerable. That's this entire show in a nutshell. The colour palette alone is therapeutic. Everything's warm. Amber, chestnut, cream. It feels like being wrapped in a blanket. And there's zero romantic drama, zero melodrama. Just grown adults being kind to each other in a world that's forgotten how. If you've ever had a rubbish day at work and wished you could just sit somewhere quiet and have someone silently understand, this is that, animated. By the way, if you're enjoying this little therapy session so far, chuck a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It's free serotonin for both of us. Number 7. Tsuritama. Alright, buckle in because I need to explain this premise and I need you to trust me. This anime is about a kid with severe social anxiety who moves to a new town, befriends an alien who might be able to control minds with water, and then they all learn to fish together while a secret government agency watches them through binoculars. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But here's the thing. Behind all that wonderful madness, Tsuritama has the single best visual representation of anxiety I've ever seen in any medium. When the main character, Yuki, has a panic attack, the animation literally drowns him. Water floods the screen, fills his lungs, swallows his vision. And if you've ever had a proper anxiety episode, the kind where your chest locks up and the room shrinks and you can't hear anyone talking to you, that is exactly what it feels like. Seeing it on screen was, kind of overwhelming actually, in a validating way. But what makes this a healing anime and not just a sad one is the solution. Fishing. The actual physical, repetitive, meditative act of tying a line, reading the current, casting, waiting. Yuki learns to breathe through it, to focus on one small thing instead of the entire crushing universe. And the friendships he builds aren't these instant, perfect connections. They're awkward and messy, and he gets it wrong constantly, which is exactly why they feel real. I came out of this show feeling like someone had handed me a toolbox. Not in a preachy way, just, here, try this, it might help. And it did. Number 6. Natsuyuki Rendezvous. So we're shifting gears here because this one isn't relaxing. It's not cozy. It's a mature romance about grief, and it earns every single emotion it asks from you. Quick setup. A young guy named Ryusuke falls for a woman named Roka who runs a flower shop. She's a widow. And the catch is, Ryusuke can see the ghost of her dead husband, who is still there, in the apartment, watching. Now, what I expected going in was dramatic love triangle stuff. What I got instead was something far more uncomfortable and far more important. This show is about the guilt of moving on. Roka carries this silent, crushing belief that if she lets herself feel something for someone new, she's betraying the person she lost. And that guilt has frozen her completely. She exists, but she's not living. She's maintaining a holding pattern out of loyalty to someone who can't come back. I've watched people I care about go through something very similar to that. And seeing it depicted with this level of restraint, no screaming matches, no dramatic rain scenes, just people being quietly devastated behind polite smiles, that was harder to watch than any battle anime has ever been. But it was also more healing than any of them, because it doesn't pretend grief has a clean ending. It just suggests that there might be a door out. And walking through it doesn't mean you've forgotten anyone. The flower shop setting is doing a lot of heavy lifting thematically too, by the way. Everything in that shop blooms and wilts and gets replaced. Make of that what you will. I'm curious actually, have any of you found a specific anime that helped pull you through a really dark period? Drop it in the comments below. I'm always looking to add to my emergency watch list. Halfway there at number 5, Poco's Udon World. I need to be transparent. This one broke me. Properly broke me. So, Sota is this 30-year-old web designer in Tokyo who's burnt out. Completely fried. His father passes away, and he goes back to his small hometown to deal with the estate. His dad ran an udon shop, and Sota had left for the big city years ago. Basically said, this life isn't enough for me, and walked away from it. Inside the abandoned restaurant, he finds this little tanuki kid, a shape-shifting raccoon spirit, and ends up taking care of him. And on the surface, it's adorable. Poco is a menace in the best way, running around, being chaotic, doing little tanuki things. But underneath all of that cuteness, Sota is drowning in regret. Every bowl of udon he tries to recreate takes him back to his dad's kitchen. Every corner of that town holds a memory he ran away from, and the show handles that so carefully. It doesn't rush toward a big emotional climax. It lets the grief simmer. It lets Sota sit with his mistakes. There's a specific sequence late in the series. I can't describe it without ruining it, but I'll just say this. It involves food and a memory, and it hit me so hard I had to pause the episode and go for a walk. If you've ever had a complicated relationship with a parent, the kind where love and disappointment got all tangled up together, this show will find that nerve and press on it with the gentlest possible touch. This one stays with you. Months later, it still stays with you. Number 4. Hakumei and Mikochi. Right, imagine you could shrink yourself down to about 9 centimeters tall and live in a tree stump in a forest. And your biggest concern on any given Tuesday is whether to have coffee or tea with breakfast. That's this anime. Hakumei and Mikochi follows 2 tiny women living in this gorgeous woodland world full of other miniature people, talking animals, insect merchants, the works. And they just live. They fix their house, they go to a market, they do masonry work, they brew things, they eat well, they argue about carpentry techniques, which, by the way, is somehow riveting when the animation is this beautiful. I think the reason this one cracked the top 4 for me is because it scratches an itch I didn't know I had. There's this deep, almost primal comfort in watching people do physical, tangible work and see the direct results of it. No spreadsheets, no KPIs, no quarterly reviews. Just, I built this wall with my hands and now it's a wall, and it's good. In a world where most of us spend our days producing things we can't touch or see, there's something medicinal about that. The art style is watercolour inspired, and it's absolutely stunning. Every background looks like a painting you'd want framed on your wall. And the community these characters live in, the way everyone knows each other, everyone's trade matters, everyone contributes. It's this idealised vision of cooperative living that made me feel simultaneously soothed and a tiny bit heartbroken for what modern life has traded away. If Sketchbook was a deep breath, this is a full spa day. Down to number 3, Windy Tales, or Fujin Monogatari in Japanese. This is the one I'm most nervous about recommending, because if you look at a screenshot, you're going to think I've lost my mind. The art style is... look, it's scribbly. Characters look like rough pencil sketches, proportions are loose. It does not look like what you expect anime to look like. And that is entirely the point. Windy Tales is about a middle school photography club that discovers people who can control the wind. And I know that sounds like the setup for an action show, but it's the opposite. It's one of the most meditative, floaty, dreamlike things I've ever watched. The loose art style means everything moves like it's being gently pushed by a breeze. Fabric ripples constantly, hair drifts, leaves spiral across the frame in these long, unbroken shots that are almost hypnotic. I watched this during a particularly rough stretch where my head just wouldn't shut off. Couldn't sleep, couldn't focus, that awful loop of overthinking that feeds on itself. And Windy Tales, somehow, and I still can't fully explain this, just cooled it down. Like a literal breeze through an open window on a hot night. The pacing is so gentle and the atmosphere is so immersive that my brain had no choice but to match it. It uses wind as a metaphor for all the things in life we can't control. The invisible forces that push us toward people and pull us away from them. It's beautiful and strange, and nothing else sounds or looks or feels like it. This is art house animation in the truest sense, and it demands you let go of every expectation about what anime is supposed to be. Not everyone will click with it, but if you do, it'll become one of your most treasured discoveries. The runner-up at number 2 is Fune wo Amu, or The Great Passage. A show about making a dictionary shouldn't make you cry. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say. And yet, here I am, a grown man emotionally compromised by lexicography. Fune wo Amu follows Majime, this painfully awkward, deeply introverted man who gets recruited to help compile a massive new Japanese dictionary. And the show follows this project over 15 years. 15 years. You watch this man go from a young, socially paralysed mess to a middle-aged professional who has poured his entire existence into defining words. And here's the bit that wrecked me. Majime can barely talk to people. Small talk is torture for him. Eye contact is a battlefield. But he dedicates his entire life to helping other people communicate. He spends decades finding the perfect definitions, the precise nuances, so that someone else, someone he'll never meet, can pick up this book and finally say what they mean. There's something so selfless and quietly heroic about that, it made my chest ache. The show doesn't rush. It can't, because the point is the slowness. You watch seasons change, you watch hair go grey, you watch colleagues come and go, and when they finally hold the finished dictionary, after all those years, all that meticulous, unglamorous, beautiful work, the payoff is unlike anything I've felt watching anime. It's not a battle won. It's not a villain defeated. It's just proof. Proof that slow, quiet, obsessive dedication to something you love matters. That it leaves a mark on the world. That the weird kid who can't hold a conversation still has something enormous to contribute. In an age where everything's about speed and clout and going viral, this show is a love letter to doing one thing, doing it properly, and taking as long as it takes. Number 1. Yokohama Kaidashi Kikou, frequently called YKK. The one that started it all for me. The one I found at 2 in the morning. And I've thought about this for months, and I'm completely certain. This is the greatest hidden healing anime ever made. Here's the premise, and I need you to sit with it for a second. The world is ending, sea levels have risen, cities are underwater, and humanity is slowly, quietly going extinct. There's no war over it, no last desperate fight for survival. People just know. And in this fading world, an android named Alpha runs a little coffee shop on a coastal road, waiting for an owner who's probably never coming back. That should be devastating, right? That should be the bleakest thing imaginable. But it isn't. It's the most peaceful anime I've ever experienced. And that contradiction is what makes it a masterpiece. Alpha brews coffee for the rare traveler who stops by. She rides her scooter through sunken roads where the ocean's creeping in. She takes photographs of a world that's being gently reclaimed by grass and flowers and silence. And she smiles. Not a sad smile, not a brave smile, a real one. Because the sunset is beautiful tonight. Because the coffee came out right. Because a dragonfly landed on her hand. I sat there watching this and something just unlocked. I can't describe it any other way. If the literal end of the world, the extinction of everything, can be met with that kind of grace, with a warm cup and a quiet evening, and an appreciation for what's right in front of you, then what am I so stressed about? What are any of us so stressed about? It doesn't minimize your problems. It doesn't say, get over it. It just gently, impossibly gently, reminds you that beauty exists right now, in this moment, whether the world is thriving or crumbling, and that noticing it, really stopping to notice it, might be the whole point. YKK is a short watch, 2 small OVA series. You could finish it in an evening, but the feeling it leaves behind? That lasts. That genuinely, properly lasts. So, the next time the world feels a bit too loud, retreat into one of these. You owe it to your own sanity. And speaking of obscure masterpieces, if you want more stuff that slipped right under the radar, you need to click this video right here. 10 forgotten anime that are still unmatched in 2026. Go on, give it a watch. I'll see you over there. Cheers.